On Sunday, another assassination attempt. You know, you think President Trump would be safe on the golf course? Safe on the golf course. Is that too much to ask? Yeah, apparently. But look, there's an investigation underway, and the Secret Service is up to the task, and so is the FBI. Just ask them.
Good afternoon. For a quick introduction, my name is Jeffrey Veltri, FBI's Special Agent in charge for the Miami Field Office. The FBI immediately responded to the scene here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we are investigating this matter as an apparent assassination attempt.
You think? You think Jeffrey, was that his name? Yeah, it was, Veltri. And the name seemed familiar to me and maybe to you too. Back in 2023, it was reported that Mr. Veltri had all kinds of negative comments on Facebook about President Trump. Yep. And they erased it quick. And they weren't worried about his viewpoint. They were worried about the presence. Veltri was ordered to remove all of his Facebook and social media posts that were anti-Trump, the Washington Times reported. And a whistleblower said the bureau leaders weren't concerned about Mr. Veltri's bias against Trump, but whether information related to Veltri's political bias can be removed from the public domain. How do we cover it up? Is that our government or what? Is that the bureau that gave us Strzok and Page? It absolutely is. And here we go. Wow. It's kind of funny in a weird way, but it's not. And then there was this.
He was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession of a firearm. In following up on the tip, the alleged complainant was interviewed and did not verify, I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information. The FBI passed that information to local law enforcement in Honolulu.
And that's what they do. Get it off our plate. Get it off. Get it off. Case closed. Case closed. That is the FBI. Why don't you just back it in, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Once again, they get there late. They get there. They talk to the guy, but they don't take any action. You know how many times this agency has screwed up? It's unbelievable. Some of the biggest catastrophes in our history, the FBI was almost there. Almost. They were on their way to see Lee Harvey Oswald 2 days before, but got delayed and all this stuff, and Waco and the rest. By the way, the alleged wannabe assassin, right? He's been charged with possession of a firearm as a felon. Possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. There are January 6ers facing more serious charges. You know, if Lee Harvey Oswald, speaking of, imagine if they got him just before he pulled the trigger. Do you think they'd just get him on weapons charges, right? He wasn't actually a felon. Would that be okay? Or as long as you don't pull the trigger? How about attempted murder? Does that sound like, I think they could possibly stretch it to attempted murder, but they're going to play it really safe for some reason on this, huh? That's kind of interesting. Next, please. And who is this guy? The acting director of the Secret Service. His name is Ron Rowe. And he shouldn't have that job, but he intends to keep it. And he knows how to do that in the swamp. You know, you're supposed to be kind of apolitical, right? Just listen to the people he was sucking up to yesterday.
In the days that followed, President Biden made it clear that he wanted the highest levels of protection for former President Trump and for Vice President Harris. What I can tell you is that we have immediate needs right now. And we have great support, not only from President Biden, and you saw his public statement today, where he said that, you know, he's going to direct his staff to make sure that the Secret Service has the resources it needs. Secretary Mayorkas, whose support in making sure that we're getting what we need has been phenomenal. He is one of our biggest champions and our advocate.
Oh, what a political swamp creature this guy is. Mayorkas? Are you kidding? If you'll say that about Mayorkas, you will say anything, and he can't be trusted. And I don't think he can be trusted because, well, he was hanging around with Kimberly Cheadle, his predecessor, right? Who spent a lot of time with the Cheneys. We've talked about that before. We'll talk about it again. But what was Kimberly Cheadle good at? Running away. We established that, right? She ran away, literally ran away from reporters who had questions, and senators, sitting United States senators. She ran away from them, would not answer questions. And how about the lying? Remember when we just busted her about that tilted roof and we wouldn't put anybody up there for safety reasons? The new guy, the acting director, you know what he's really good at? Indignation. Oh boy, he pulls that card. Any criticism of me is criticism of the men and women on the front lines. And you don't want to do that, do you? It's a little bureaucratic trick. They've been playing it for a long time. Also, bureaucratic fast talker. This guy will make your head spin. It is look, I see through this guy, and you will too in a moment. Here he is about to talk about all the things that weren't there for President Trump on July 13th. They're there now, but if you listen carefully, they're not doing anything. Check this out.
The increased assets directed by President Biden were in place yesterday. These included the counter-sniper team elements, counter-surveillance counter-surveillance agents on the exterior, counter-assault teams partnered with local tactical assets from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and counter-unmanned aerial system elements. All of these entities were present yesterday.
Catch that? All of these entities, like the counter-surveillance team, present. He didn't say operating. He didn't say they were doing anything. If the counter-surveillance team was doing anything, they were, so they were present. These entities were present. And then he hits us with this. I have no idea what this means. Do you?
And while all of these assets were in place, as I've said publicly, we must satisfy the basic requirements of the Secret Service's protective methodologies.
At first, I thought he was like, well, we can't talk publicly about what we do, but then he didn't really say, I don't know. And while all of these assets were in place, as I've said publicly, we must satisfy the basic requirements of the Secret Service's protective methodologies. But it doesn't, who knows? And then, of course, rah, 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 the whole thing, you can't give me a hard time or else you're giving the troops a hard time.
What was critical to this was the quick reaction, the response, the hypervigilance of the men and women of the United States Secret Service, who since July 13th have been rising to meet an unprecedented and hyper-dynamic threat environment. And they are rising to this moment, and I could not be more proud of them and the way they have executed, not only yesterday, but what they're doing today and what they are doing tomorrow and what they will always do because it is their duty. Thank you.
So according to him, they just stepped it up after July 13th. They did all these things after July 13th, but it doesn't look like they're doing all these things after July 13th, after all, does it? And as boldly in support of the Bureau, the service, right? It's all about agency protection in the swamp, right? Agency protection and promotion and good relations with Congress, who's ever in the majority. He's backing up the Secret Service, the men and women of, but he's not backing up the president. It is amazing what this man said in public yesterday. And he actually said it twice. I played this for some folks yesterday and beyond. They thought, well, maybe we misinterpreted, maybe he was misspeaking. Just watch, please.
This was an off-the-record movement. It wasn't a site that was on his scheduled, it wasn't part of his schedule. So there was no posting up of it because he wasn't supposed to have gone there in the first place.
President Trump wasn't supposed to have gone there in the first place. His own club that he goes to basically any day, especially Sunday, he's in Mar-a-Lago. You see? And now, I hate that. You hate that. Mainstream media is going to let that slide. Fox. Depends who's anchoring, quite frankly. That's terrible. Oh, you know who does like it, though? Mayorkas, Biden, right? Footsie. It's a little signal. All right. Also, it wasn't misspeaking, by the way, because later, a few minutes later, he said it again.
There is heavy uniform presence out there. And again, what I go back to is yesterday was an off-the-record movement. Off the record. And the president wasn't even really supposed to go there. It was not on his official schedule. And so we put together a security plan, and that security plan worked.
I don't think he's had one kind word to say about President Trump. It was his fault. He shouldn't have been there. Joe Biden, thank you very much. We put together a plan that worked. Did it incorporate all the stuff that the American people have been giving you? You don't know how to employ it, do you? You don't. You don't know what to do with these counter surveillance teams. This guy's got to go. And you know what? When he's not insulting Trump and he can't go to a golf course, think about that. President Trump can't go to the golf course, and it's not someplace he's supposed to be. He can go wherever he wants. That's the whole deal. And they know ahead of time, by the way. They do. They know likely. It's a game. And this is part of the game, too. The indignation I mentioned, right? Being mad at everybody. How dare you? How dare you on a moment like, well, it's our duty, actually. It's our duty as citizens, all right? We don't stand for this stuff. You fool the fake news. You fool some members of Congress. You don't fool us.
This is what our counter sniper team saw. Shooter, no elbows. You barely make out the crown of his head. Below it, the assailant up prone. And let me just tell you, our counter sniper, this individual, I know him. I consider him a friend. He has covered me operationally in conflict zones. And when I did my time on the president's detail, he exemplifies the courage, the skill, and the ability to respond under great stress in such short time to neutralize a threat and prevent further loss of life.
You understand? I have a friend, and we work together, and we had a few drinks together, and don't say anything bad about him. We're allowed to ask tough questions, and you are not allowed to mislead Congress. And I think he was misleading Congress. Made a big deal about how hard this target was to engage, right? You see it? It's just a little guy. He's just a little guy on the roof, and we got him. He wasn't so little, though. We had this video taken by Mr. Copenhaver, who was actually shot a few moments later, of the would-be assassin running all over the roof. You guys didn't see that? Are you serious? Are you serious? You're going to tell us you could not see that? You guys are... What do you wear those sunglasses for? What do you... It's crazy. But in America today, you can create your own reality, and Mr. Rowe there can speak like this in front of millions of people and kind of get away with it. Not here. Be right back.